It wasn't that I didn't want to live anymore, it's just I didn't want to live with the pain that I was feeling anymore.
I was a continuous self-harmer and suicidal ideation was daily.
One day it all went black and I couldn't be the person I used to be.
I just had all this trauma and all this stress, and I thought, you know, my daughter and everyone else is better off without me here.
In England, 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health problem of some kind every year. Here in Leicestershire, the issue has been addressed with an investment of resource that has been described as life-changing and life-saving, yet doesn't involve any clinical or medical training.
Hi, I'm VJ. I'm the station manager of Eva FM 102.5 Leicester, and I'm also a community worker, youth worker, and I work with different communities in and around Leicester.
I worked with the NHS on their mental health consultation, and I was asked to come back to find out what's been happening on one of their biggest projects, the new peer support worker role.
Poor mental health affects more people than cancer and heart disease every year, and I'm here to find out what's happening in Leicester to tackle this.
I went to talk to Teresa Spilsbury from Leicestershire Partnership NHS Trust to find out more.
Tell me a little bit about this investment and how it will help the communities of Leicester.
We're looking at employing peer support workers. We already have some, but we want a lot more. So we think we'll end up with around 100 people in post. The reason we want peer support workers is because they have something that's a special gift at this point in time. They have lived experience of mental health conditions or are a carer of somebody who's got mental health conditions. The reason we want that experience is because nationally, locally, internationally, there's a lot of evidence that peer support works. One of the things that our service users say to us is that the workers don't know what it's like to be me, they don't know how it feels, and actually peer support workers do. We want to spread them around all of our work area. We also want them to represent the communities that we work with, and we know that that means employing people from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of diversity, and we want to welcome people into our team from everywhere, from wherever they come.
Having a lived experience of mental health is a key requirement to becoming a peer support worker. I'm interested in finding out what it's like for somebody to navigate that journey. To find out more, I've been speaking to a number of peer support workers. Ruxana has been a peer support worker for 2 years. She began to struggle with her mental health as a teenager, growing up with competing pressures of 2 different cultures.
I was born here, I went to school here, right up to 16, did my exams, so I did a lot of things that other young people did at the same age as me. But what I found was there was this sort of undercurrent of expectations from my own culture. Sometimes it felt a little bit like you were living 2 different lives. So you had a life outside of the home and then you had a life within home. And that was really hard to balance. I probably had some kind of mental health issues earlier than I actually recognised them myself. I wasn't aware of it probably from the early onset. But I did get to a point where I started to withdraw and I ended up spending a lot of time at home. I gave up my job. I just didn't have that interest in life anymore. The really dark place that I talk about, and I think I often hear a lot of people talk about this dark place that I can resonate with, was, I think, the lowest point. I think lived experience brings something different because we have our own experience of what we may have tried, what worked, what didn't work, and bringing that to other people where we can share that. So you can sit in a place, I think, with people in a different way when you have your own lived experience.
Mercedes is a recovery worker who experienced issues with mental health as a young adult after entering what turned out to be an abusive relationship. She recalls being unable to reach out and ask for help and says had a peer support worker been available, things would have been very different.
Looking back now, there were signs from the get-go. However, I just ignored it because I felt sorry for him. He gave me a sub-story about his childhood, which related somewhat to mine, so I just wanted to love someone and hope they would love me in return. They knew I wanted to leave the family home, so that was their opportunity to get control and get me to move in as quick as I did. And then that's when the physical abuse started. I literally had no hope. I felt I had no positive things around me. I just had all this trauma and all this stress. I didn't have many people around me that suffered with their mental health, or if they did, they were very closed off about it and did not want to speak. So having that peer support worker would have made a difference to kind of say, you know, you're not alone, there is support, we're here to help you. My journey would have been completely different if I had that support.
Charlie is a peer support worker. He suffered from a steep mental crash in adulthood, resulting in a diagnosis of psychosis. Since recovering, he has completed training as a peer support worker to give something back.
The typical conversations are around generalised anxiety. Sometimes people don't know why they're anxious. Sometimes they do. The kind of other conversations could revolve around money and relationships. Money is a really big issue at the minute, but generally it's around anxiety, and we work to help them reduce it, relating to them with our lived experience. I mean, some people want to know what the experience is of the person they're talking to and what their qualifications are, but often it's a case of allowing them to have a bit of time to talk about what's going on, and then relating that back to lived experience of the volunteer.
Look at the people around you right now. Statistically, 1 in 4 will have a mental health issue of some sort throughout the year. I'm going to speak to the people of Leicester to find out how much this hits home. Have you ever suffered mental health illness?
Yes, I have. During the COVID lockdown, I struggled with depression for a year. I was on medication for it.
Been on, used to be Prozac, about 20 years.
A lot of people around me in my circle have had like bad mental health, I would say.
I've had manic depression.
Poor mental health affects everyone, regardless of age, gender, your faith, or your background. There are a range of triggers, and sometimes people have been living with these issues and maybe hiding them since childhood. Leanne started working as a peer support worker in 2020. Like many others, Leanne's experience with mental health started at a very young age. Now she works with children and adolescents, using her valuable insights to help them work through it.
When you're in it, when you're in that situation, you don't know what you're going through isn't normal. Everything in your life is how you've always known it. When I meet people in the community, people seem a lot more relaxed, like it's a lot easier. I mean, no one kind of wants to be in a clinical setting. Sometimes it's not always that easy. I had a young person, I was working alongside a clinician. Clinician thought that peer support worker would be more appropriate for this young person, probably thought that I would be able to build better rapport and be able to go out into the community, because this young person had quite severe social anxiety, hadn't been in school for a number of years, and so as I was starting to work with her, she was becoming more comfortable, she was becoming exposed to different things. You know, we were having conversations that she's not really had with other people before because she's so isolated, and she made really, really good progress until she came to us and said, I don't think I need CAMS anymore.
This investment in peer support workers clearly is a huge boost to local communities and will make a tangible difference to people suffering with mental health issues. If you think you might need help or would like to speak to someone, then take that first step. Talk to someone who understands what you are going through. Talk to a peer support worker. And if you have been on this journey already and have a lived experience and would like to use it, this could be an amazing opportunity for you to get in that recovery cycle and help others.
I think it will change mental health service in such a huge way, but for the best, because it's offering more people to have that face-to-face interaction with people that have gone through their own mental health struggles and come out the other side of it. So I think that's key in someone's mental health journey.
When I first read the advertisement, I read it and I thought, I could do that, you know, and people with mental health very often think, I can't do that. So changing that narrative and flipping it, you know, it was really nice.